have to have some jazz hands at the end of that. I just feel it was a little pep in your step for this Friday afternoon. Hi, I'm Michelle with ASIS Massage Education, coming at you from the Mesa campus. And today's guest, we're going to be featuring Carl Johns, who is our Flagstaff campus director, instructor, musician, motivational speaker, many other things that we credit Carl with. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his time so far at our Flagstaff campus. He's been up there for a year now, and so we've made some great changes, some improvements, just a great field that's been there at the campus this year. And we have to thank he and his wife, Gina, for doing so much work up in our northern campus. So happy to see him join us today. So I'm going to add him to the stream and say hello, Mr. Carl Johns.
Hello.
Good day to you, sir, on this wet or almost being too wet afternoon. It's been, if you're watching this on a recorded time, this week has been a very rainy week for most of Arizona. While we need the rain, it's been a lot, right? We've been digging out of the water. So thanks for joining us today. I'm glad to have you on again. So for those fans of our broadcast here, you may know that Carl came on to one of our first live streams when I was first learning the ropes of how to use the equipment and the software, and he agreed to be one of my first early guinea pigs. So if you're interested in checking out that first conversation, we actually did it at the beginning of the year, I believe, end of the year, beginning of the year time, December, January, to kind of talk about new year, new beginning kind of things. And Carl's always got such a positive attitude. I thought he was a great guest to have. So go and check that out on our YouTube page. We do have it still there. We get to know Carl a little bit. But for those who missed that and want to get to know Carl a little, Carl, can you tell us a little bit about your background in massage therapy and how you found your way to ASIS?
I came into this work through the study of Tai Chi, and that was probably in the early 1990s, and then kind of figuring out that through my own health practices, that I wanted to help other people, and investigating all kinds of different ways that I might do that. And I think I remember getting a really great massage one time and talking to the therapist about schools, and investigating schools. This is in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I looked into a lot of places and found the McKinnon Institute, which is one of the oldest massage schools in the country, I think. It started in 1973, and Judith McKinnon came out of the Esalen Institute at Big Sur, which a lot of people don't seem to remember these days. But amazing culture from Big Sur up through the Bay Area and into Marin County. There's been like incredible creative body work there for decades. So I became part of that school as a student, then as a teacher, then as a co-owner, and kind of experienced you could experience in the world of body work and teaching and massage education. I worked for 17 years up there at the Cerebral Palsy Center in Oakland, which was an amazing thing to do. I always will feel like those folks there taught me a lot about what I do and what I share in the classroom these days. And I've always had private practice along with my teaching time. I've been teaching for about 20 years. And I love it. I just love it. And eventually I got kind of moved down to Arizona for lots of reasons, and dropped into ASIS, and here I am now at Flagstaff.
And now we got you. And Jess says hello to her best friend. Hi, Carl. and Laura's watching too. Laura's saying we love Carl, which is true. And everyone who crosses your path, and the students, teachers, everyone else is a big fan. We have your fan club. We're going to make up t-shirts soon, probably. So I know as we were developing curriculum, I leaned on you for a lot of different modalities, because there are a few that I think you really love a lot more. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the ones that you love to practice, love to teach?
So I really love Swedish massage. And I come out of that Esalen tradition. My first cert is a Swedish Esalen certificate. And So I really understand how amazingly therapeutic that work is, and sometimes I think people don't always realize that. They kind of push it off to the side or kind of move through it to go do something else. But I really love that route. I have certainly had a lot of experience in the kind of sports and deep tissue and all that kind of stuff. The things that kind of reside in our program is trigger point, neuromuscular, connective tissue, sports and injury. But I am a total shiatsu nut, and I learned shiatsu really early on in my studies and spent a long time kind of converting people to the floor mat. Many of them never went back, and it's such a beautiful modality. It's one of those things that's absolutely complete, that you can go through a lifetime just treating people of all kinds. I've done it in athletic events. I've done it with people with disabilities and people who are very frail, elders, stressed out office workers. That modality is always with you. You don't need equipment. All you need is your hands, sometimes your feet, and you go to work. And it's that I love. That's me. I'm out there in the world, kind of working on people all the time. Yeah. I'm also a person who has studied a little bit of Thai and steals from Thai massage to put into my shiatsu.
Borrows, incorporates, integrates, right?
Yeah, integration. That's the thing. And then craniosacral therapy is a really big thing for me that I've been practicing and teaching for a long time. And it's just such a beautiful, gentle way of interacting and listening deeply into the realm of the body, to feel the kind of fluid flows and the ways that people are kind of unwinding and releasing, and you get to be really present for those things because you can sit so still. And I think that modality, I always realize that not everybody will become a craniosacral therapist. They're not, not everybody can kind of sit there and just, for long periods of time. But it's an amazing modality to teach people palpation skills, to get them really like listening deeply to very subtle things in the body. When I learned that many years ago, it definitely changed the way I did shiatsu and other modalities. So now when I put those thumbs in somebody's back, I was really feeling the movement of fluid and the unwinding of tissue in a way that I didn't notice before I studied that modality. So I love that it's in our program because I think it's a really essential thing to teach people to go more toward that subtle side so that it can all the other things.
Yeah.
Forever, I've always said, if you're going to take deep tissue, you should take craniosacral because they're right along the same lines. They're just kind of working in different layers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like you touched on something with the craniosacral that I see a lot happening every day in the classroom when students are learning that, and after they come out of craniosacral, how their body work changes. Because the first couple of days when they're trying to listen and they're trying to feel like, I don't know what I'm trying to feel, they're so intensely like trying to listen and be quiet and still. And I think they take that with them throughout, and to come back to being really truly present in the body, in their own bodies, and with their clients as well. And because there are a lot of times, and I think we all get into it, we kind of get on autopilot and, just doing the flows and feeling the muscles and kind of listening to the music in our head, and having that skill to be able to sit and listen and be still is something that I don't think a lot of us are really good at. And I include myself in that, right? And sometimes it's hard. It's boring. It's, I'm thinking of everything else I got to do. But when you have to come back to listen, then that elevates your session that much more. Yeah. It's great to see that.
Presence, and it's a little bit like meditating, but which is really difficult for most people, right? People try meditation and they kind of hate it.
After 30 seconds, I can't do this.
But here you have this great crutch that you have your hands around somebody and really listen to what's going on in there, and then everything just kind of falls into place. And I think there's a really interesting distinction between palpating and sensing that I love. James Jellis talks about this. He's an old osteopath that just passed recently, actually. And he says, you know, when you palpate, you go looking for what you know. So I understand that there's an anatomical structure there, and I can go in and feel that structure.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys. I can go in and feel that structure and understand something about it because there's something there that I know. But when I'm sensing, I'm kind of fearlessly allowing everything to come in. It's not something that I know. It's the other things. And that's where people get, I always try to tell people, don't go look for that cranial rhythm because you don't know what it feels like.
Right.
So you got to just sit back and let these things come until you figure out what that is that's in your hands.
Yeah. It's almost like a vulnerability in a way. Like I'm not know what I'm going to expect, but I'm open to that possibility of whatever it is. And that's sometimes hard to do because we have our preconceived notions. We're ready for, like you said, what we think we know, what we think we're going to feel, and you know, our judgments, which, you know, judgments gets a negative connotation all the time, but that's how we make our decisions all day long, right? Is judging. So, but in this case, we need to have less of that, more of that openness.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my other good question I was going to ask from what you were saying, and loving the floor mat work, and knowing that we have so much of it in our program. You're one of the big instrumental people that got me to up the hours that we were doing some shiatsu. It was already a pretty big amount of time compared to other classes that we have, but we added on a few extra days, and Thai as well. We've added on some more days of that. And partly because we wanted students to be able to feel confident in performing a full hour, full body work session in those modalities, not just a couple hand placements and that's it. And if they liked it, go on and do some more. And so with that, I think a lot of students, unless they're coming to the school specifically to learn those Eastern modalities, might be a little like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in that modality. I'm not really a floor person. What am I going to do? If my knees hurt, my back hurts, how do I talk people into getting this kind of work? That's another one. And then I see the transformation happen after a couple classes, and they're just like, how do I get more people on the mat? How do I do more and more of this? And I wonder if you experience that as well. And can you speak to that a little bit of some of that transformation that happens?
Shiatsu is a really interesting thing, or floor work in general, because it teaches you to use your body really differently. And you realize that the work is so much easier than maybe it was when you started out on the table. And then you can carry that to everything else that you do. I spent a lot of time kind of pulling people towards shiatsu early in my career, and I still do it, in the place where I do body work regularly. Whenever I get somebody who I think is a good candidate, I just always tell them, next time you come, just come in some workout clothes. We're going to try a little shiatsu. And they'll get intrigued by it. Some people recognize that, but all you have to do is it's that thing, like, I was thinking about the soap notes in the plan, and I always tell people, what you want to say here is, I would love to keep working with you, and here's my idea. Let's try this. I think this would be really good for you. And then you get people excited about what's possible for them.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about all that other stuff. I just want to get them excited about coming back and, like, experiencing something new and being able to kind of unwind themselves a little bit differently. Yeah. It's not a hard sell. We do a lot of work out there. Like I said, if you work with athletes or you go out and do corporate chair massage or anything, that's all shiatsu. You should get your shiatsu skills down, because it's going to really serve you in the bodywork world. So, I just love it, and I'm excited about it always, and that gets clients excited, and the certain students excited, and we finished about a module ago with kind of both of our classes. We finished shiatsu, and they're all doing that stuff in clinic. They're putting clients down on the floor, and
that's great. I love that. We need some photos of those things too. We should get some of those in there. That's really great. Yeah, and it's taking us out thinking differently again. That's being open to possibilities as well. I think is really great, and I have to thank you for helping us really get to that and get people excited about it. So it's not just we got to get through shiatsu. It's like woohoo!
Yeah. I will say, you were talking about lengthening programs a little bit. it's just really great if you can give people enough that they feel like they can go out and do a session.
Mm-hmm.
That I've got enough of this that I can start and I can build a practice on this.
Yeah.
And if you don't give people quite enough, they'll integrate it or they'll do whatever. But
Right.
I do want people to feel like, I have enough here that I can start. And it's always a start, right? Because this is a lifelong learning kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 25 years and I study it every day,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking, we were just talking about this the other day. So our program's 800 hours. It's 100 hours over the minimum requirement for Arizona. And almost every single modality, we get comments, we have to do the feedback forms and such. Need more time, need more time, need more time. And it's like, we wish we had all the time in the world to do everything, but we have to take up modalities. And that's kind of what we did with some of them to get like more time for Thai, for example, and make it. So we, rather than give a little bits of pieces of tiny things, to give something more so they have that confidence to take it outside and use it for something else too. But yeah, there's just when they get comfortable, I think it's like, we need more time for this. Yeah, so and we're going to hear that a lot, I'm sure, in the next mod. We have three modalities coming up in one mod, so I can only imagine they're like, want more time, need more time. But hopefully they get enough to know, I like this modality, I can pursue it a little bit more in a continuing education capacity and kind of run with that.
Yeah.
So we got a comment on our Facebook page that I'd like to share. So I do agree. Matthew says floor mat work is where it's at with delivering gravity-based contact with an infinite range of motion techniques. Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's and taking that back with you then on the table is really important too. You learn to use your body a little bit differently. And I think go ahead.
Your table will probably drop a little bit.
Yes. So as you start to be able to use more of that center of gravity and use your body a little bit better. And I always know when students have done like some kind of martial art training or qigong or tai chi or something like that, they're always moving that fashion a little bit more at the beginning of it. And the other students sometimes struggle a little bit more with getting that movement going. So that floor work does help a lot with that as well.
I've one kind of yay for ASIS kind of thing. Because when out there in the world of massage education and all the organizations, ABMP and all that kind of stuff, they have these projects going where they're trying to figure out what makes a competent massage therapist, what should be in the curriculum. And I was around in those conferences when they were creating this stuff and kind of have conversations around the dinner tables with the people that were doing it. And they were not giving space for Asian body work. It was a very kind of down the line Western approach, and they felt like what we need to know. And my argument here was, you're cutting off one of the legs. You need those legs to stand on, and that if people don't get exposed in the program, then they won't necessarily go seek it out later.
Right.
And the idea of giving people that piece. And even the smaller pieces like lymph or reflexology or whatever, because both of those things could be a whole lifelong career just on their own. And we might only do 3 days, but you can go out and study that for hundreds of hours and then go off and do it all over the world. So everything has such an important place, and it's just great that this program gives people a taste of all of those things so that they can go off and
pursue it a little bit more. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, and Matthew did mention too another comment about the AOBTA, which you mentioned a group having the organization. So the AOBTA is specifically for the Asian Oriental body work that is out there. So he's just made a comment about having 500 hours is training, but we've talked about, right? We could make a whole school and make it 2 years long and just do shiatsu training. Yeah. Which now that we're talking about this more, I'm already seeing our next live stream, which will probably happen in a few weeks. I'm going to make you do some shiatsu stuff, and we're just going to do shiatsu and show some demos and things. I think that'll be a lot of fun for us to do. Yeah, that'll be great. So let's transition a little bit and talk a little bit more about how you've settled in. It's been a little over a year. You just mentioned before we went live, since we moved you up there. We were just recapping that move and still getting mad at your apartment complex for that whole thing. But how has it been settling in and Flagstaff in general, and how are you feeling? Are you feeling at home and feel settled in after a year?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Flagstaff. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
really cool little city. It's the smallest place I've ever lived. You know, I'm used to being in like huge, sprawling places.
Right.
So it's kind of neat to be in a place where it only takes you 2 minutes to get anywhere. Um, I love the seasons. I've had my first snowy winter, which was
Yeah.
fun. Got to
Yeah.
experience the snow shovel and all that kind of stuff. It's been really fun to kind of grab hold of this campus and start to transform it a little bit, both kind of physically and also kind of in its spirit, and to be
Yeah.
in the classroom. The students have been fabulous. We have graduated some really good people over this year. They're all finding work. Boy, it's a good time to go out and be a body worker. Like
Yeah.
if you get a solid training and your skills are good, you're going to easily go out there and make a living kind of right off the bat. One of the folks that was in the night class when we got here, Katie, she got an office just up the street,
Oh.
second floor. Got a sign out, and her practice is full in like.
Oh, I love that. Oh, she's one of my. Well, not I don't pick favorites, but love you, Katie, if you're watching. Oh, that's so fantastic to hear. I love to hear all their great stories. One of my favorites is when students are like, "Is it okay if I already start telling people I'm going to be a massage therapist? I have all these people asking me, and they're ready to book with me, and I booked my first people." All those stories, they just always make me so happy. So yeah, that's really great. So you're getting feedback from your former students and seeing that they're doing pretty well. I saw Phil, I think, is working where you guys are seeing,
Yep.
right? So yeah, like that whole group, they're doing really
Carly is there. Phil is there. Zoe, I just heard the other day she's at a Massage Envy in Portland, Maine.
nice. Okay, little switch there. Okay,
Yeah. So
our little traveler.
we made that Emblex and got her.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I know we're trying to talk more about Flagstaff, but I think I'm so proud of these students who are going out and doing their MBLEX exam. Those of you guys watching who don't know what that. So the MBLEX is a massage bodywork licensing examination. Most of the states that require licensing of some kind require the MBLEX for to get the entry level application started in their licensing process. Arizona does not currently. So we don't necessarily prep the students in the sense of having MBLEX review classes and MBLEX specific training. But every student that I've known in the past, I don't know how much now, that has taken the MBLEX has passed it. And I'm proud of our staff for getting them, and their students, of course, they did the work, but I'm proud that our instructors and our curriculum has helped them be able to get that exam and pass it. Yeah, that's really exciting news to hear.
Yeah,
So,
just shout out to everybody. I took it when I moved to Arizona 20 some years into my career. That's not the time to do it.
Yeah, I know.
When you graduate, it's gonna be a lot.
I know. I think about that all the time. Like I want to take it just to see sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know.
I think teachers have a little advantage, but it's fairly tough, and you want to kind of use your knowledge while it's fresh, because it will help a lot.
I know. Yeah, definitely. But we can get on a whole other subject about the MBLEX. So tell us a little bit about your little house on the prairie schoolhouse, that I like to call it, our little one-room schoolhouse. We had some transformation there. So it was a one-room schoolhouse, and now we've expanded it. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, we the rooms all got shifted around a little bit. And some of this started to happen just before we came up, but we have a room should I tour us while we?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have a little chat. And while you're doing that, I did find, let's see. I did find the screen. I'm going to share this real quick. I found there's your parking garage this winter, summer. I almost said. Yeah, I remember that. But I was like, I know I have this picture.
That's when snow shovel came out.
Yeah. Woo. That was a good one. All right.
So I'm gonna walk into what we call the alpha classroom.
Okay.
And our teachers up here have been really cool in helping us kind of set things up a little bit. Jeannie is good with a toolbox, and Molly
Nice.
has some incredible organizational skills. So they were a nice kind of addition after we had kind of worn ourselves out trying to make this place look great. But this is where the Swedish massage class will happen, and anywhere from maybe 1 to 4 people, say. If we start getting more than that, then we're going to figure something out.
Yep. Tiny room.
But
and I love that the lights are still up because we have to be festive all the time.
When I put Christmas lights up, they never come down.
Yeah. And or they shouldn't. They shouldn't. It's
this room was the big change, really. It was kind of I think it was a break room or something like that. But this now allowed us to have that rolling Swedish class that starts every month, which means, more people can come in when they're ready, which is really great.
Yeah.
So this is our lobby. Festive. We brought in a lot of stuff, like my old carpet from home, wall hangings and stuff.
Make it homey.
I'm going to show you this. This beautiful thing here was done by Monique Harris from the Cerebral Palsy Center. It's something she gave me when I left. So it's kind of found a place here.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful.
We're trying to do the picture thing like you guys do down there, but I'm not as good as you.
I'll have more, and next time we come up, I'll print some more out.
This is our little kind of break room, and a little library and kind of catch-all everything kind of room.
I just love the homey feel you have when you walk into the Flagstaff campus. It is literally an old home, but it just feels like that. It doesn't feel like a school, and you just feel it's like a deep breath when you walk in.
So this is the mysterious doorway. This goes to the larger classroom, but there's a session going on in there. So I'm going to be a little quiet, and I'm just going to kind of show, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Thanks for showing us that.
Nice.
I love
music.
Yes, and always a quote by Carl somewhere in the campus. Well, not by Carl, sometimes by Carl, but written by Carl. So Henry David Thoreau one. So the classroom does double as the clinic space with the curtain bays, right? And
that's kind of where everything happens. Once you come through that Swedish class, and you're dropped in and on the wheel of classes. And it's the beautiful thing is that's where we watch people become massage therapists. They start kind of piecing all these skills together and deciding what they love. I was talking to one of our students, Brittany, the other day, and she had somebody on the table that wanted some deep tissue, right? And it's kind of not who she is. She was trying to do some connective tissue work, and she was sitting out here talking. She's like, I really don't like the connective tissue. I was like, that's okay. It's
Oh.
absolutely okay, because she is so gravitating toward beautiful Swedish massage and craniosacral therapy and shiatsu. And, she's got her kind of toolbox that she's putting together. And for everybody that's coming into this work, what you want to do is figure out what you love. What really speaks to you, what comes through you in the best way, and you put that together, and people will follow you around forever. And all the people that want something you don't love, they'll find the person that loves that.
Right. Yeah. There's enough clients for everybody. There's no reason to try to be everything for everybody. There's no way to do it, one, and you'll exhaust yourself, and you won't get to really perfect the craft that's really speaks to you. So that's it's one of the things we connected about is the love for Swedish. And if I don't practice anything else but Swedish, I will be fine. I will be okay with that. If someone told me I can't use anything else, fine by me. My clients are going to love it, and it's going to be great and therapeutic, despite what people say. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of we joke about it now, that anybody who, and this is an insider tip if you're ever wanting to teach for us, it's one of our questions. We're going to ask you what you think about Swedish, and if it isn't falling in love with it, even if that's not your class you're going to teach, you might not do so well in the interview. So that's super important. Yeah, absolutely. So what other attributes or characteristics should a student have that is going to be coming into massage school? Who would make a perfect candidate?
Oh, there's so many things. I mean, there's kind of this impetus, like, I want to help people. I want to do something. And that's what it was for me. I want to do something one-on-one with people that would help them, become more healthy, or, move through whatever it is they're trying to move through. And I didn't know in the beginning what that would be. I was looking at physical therapy and acupuncture and all kinds of things. But once I got into school and got my hands on people, I just was like, this is it. This is great. People who are very, kind of movement and kinesthetic oriented do really well, so we get a lot of people from yoga and dance and stuff like that. We have a young guy who's in our evening class right now who did a lot of ballet, and it's just beautiful to watch him work. His posture and his movement is just fantastic. People who are kind of sciencey and geeky, they'll do really well. That, like, those are the people who will kind of really study the anatomy. You look at people like I don't know, like Tom Myers or somebody like that, who's kind of pretty well known out there. Obviously, kind of an anatomy geek, So the hands-on skills are the hands-on skills, but then you put that with it, and it kind of makes a different kind of therapist.
Right.
Some people are just feelers, and all that stuff doesn't really resonate with them so much. So they learn enough to get, what they need to know.
Right.
And then I'll quote the Taoist philosophies. You learn knowledge to forget knowledge. Put it in there, learn it the best you can, and then it's going to express through the art of body work.
Right.
And a lot of body workers are artists. They're not people who do so well in the conventional workplaces and different kinds of conventional skills. They go out and be a lawyer or whatever. It's like, no way.
Yeah.
I need something more creative. So, this really spoke to me as a creative person. I'm a musician. I went to art school in the 80s, and, body work was just an extension of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a space for almost every kind of person, as long as they're okay with touch and being touched,
Yeah. And even then, because I know we've had our students before, and I tell this story all the time in orientation, that I went to school. Here I was 20 years ago, going to school, orientation, day one, they said, okay, pick a partner and one of you gets on the table. And that was the first time it clicked in my head that in order to learn massage, we were going to have to work on each other in school. And I had never had a professional massage at that point. touch was not something normal for everybody in my family. It was your, just your loved ones kind of thing. No one paid to go get someone to work on them. Right. And so this was brand new to me. Yeah. And so I had to take a minute to figure out, well, okay, how am I going to do this? And I'm glad I stuck with it because I learned a lot about myself. I learned appreciation and love for my body and what it can do and what other people's can do, and just a body acceptance and body love and the power of touch and the importance of it. I could really, really appreciate and really resonate with me. And so I tell that story a lot in orientation because I'm not the only one who thinks that too. A lot of people are like, thank goodness you said that, because I didn't realize what we were going to do either, and that I was going to get worked on, because they're going to learn by doing. That's okay. But then someone's going to work on me too. It's like, whoa, that might be a little much to deal with. And so we all come from different backgrounds, and touch is very different for everybody and how they're exposed to it and who's allowed to get it and under what circumstances. And so I love to see those transformations with our students, that they say, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to learn how to do it. And they come out just being so transformative at the end, and it's beautiful to see that. So it's like just having that open mind, right? And just being willing. I always say, just trust us and we're going to get you there, right? Have you seen some of the students like that before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They have no idea. The first day of Swedish is always interesting when the first time you're going to do effleurage and you have somebody, you say, can I have somebody volunteer for a demo? Everybody's like, yeah. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to have to take my clothes off and get on the table. So it's like these moments of realization. And then, 3 classes later, everybody's just totally used to it. And, I think for a lot of people, receiving that kind of touch is not always easy. We have somebody here, our dancer that I was talking about is it's not as easy for him to receive as some other people, but he's kind of learning that, and I've seen him start to kind of open up, like things are a little looser. He's smiling at me a little more.
Right.
So I did, it's so good for people. We can't live without it. But we do, have very different relationships to it. And learning to receive is an important part of what we do,
Absolutely. And I think we do a pretty good job as a school and as an organization with meeting people where they are on that, and everyone respecting it, and the classes being comfortable with someone's uncomfortableness, and just kind of helping it along. But everyone, I think, gets there, in their own way. And, I always, people are like, oh, you got to take your clothes off. I'm like, it's not like we're all walking around naked. Like, people don't quite get that. But it's also just bodies. Why can't an elbow be an elbow and everything else just be what they are, too? So we're just looking at muscles. We're just working on the body. And it's not anything else. No biggie. No big deal. Yeah. So, yeah, I always think that's amazing. And so what advice do you have for some of those students maybe who aren't really the anatomy geeks or really great at traditional schooling, or how are they going to make it through some of that stuff they have to get through in order to see it on the other side with their creativity and their artistry?
Well, I have seen so many students over the years, and all kinds of different obstacles, right? It might be kind of a learning difficulty or a language barrier or any of those things. And I've always said to people, like, learning anatomy it's a foreign language for everybody. So, you're just going to have to dig in, and have fun with it. It's you're learning yourself. All that stuff is in you. If you look at any medical school or something like that, the cheat sheet is sitting in the chair, and people are always kind of like, doing this stuff to figure out like what the answer to the question is. So it's just your body, and I think people learn that in a lot of different ways. If you were like a bodybuilder, you learn a lot about different kinds of muscles. And you start naming them. I learned my first anatomy in art school, so we were drawing human anatomy. It's really interesting to go to a cadaver lab and have that experience, see what's inside there. All those things are really cool, and it's it's a necessity for us for sure. We need to know, just basically
Mhm.
what it is that we have our hands in.
Right.
But I'm gonna quote, and this is not to say, you learn that knowledge to forget knowledge. It's effortless mastery that you're after, and you have to fill yourself with the knowledge. It's just have fun with it. Don't worry about what you don't know. Just keep studying, and it'll all just keep coming.
Yeah.
But there's the flip side is, and this is a quote by an old osteopath by the name of Roland Becker, who was like a monster in his time. And he said that studying the cadaver is like studying a telephone pole to find out how a tree works. And that is a beautiful statement. What he means is you're not working on the anatomy, you're working on the life that runs through it. And that is where people are changing, right? It's a body-mind kind of thing. The muscles are an expression of how we've lived our lives and how we feel every day. It's like the muscles are the outside of your brain, and so we want to get that too. The study of that kind of stuff, the psychological end of this work, all that stuff is really important. So we can go in very different directions, and we can work with people around trauma, or we can work with people around specific injuries, or we can work with people, just to like de-stress or whatever it might be. All those things are incredibly important. They're all therapeutic, all incredibly important. So, you just dive in. I mean, the answer to the question is just dive in. Use the people around you. You've got great teachers around you. You've got great students around you. Get together with people, study. Everybody does okay.
Yeah, I think so. As long as they put the time in, they communicate, and we make it out the other end successfully. So that's awesome. So any other little tidbits for anyone wanting to join the Flagstaff campus and get to know you and maybe explore this world of bodywork?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, Flagstaff is awesome, and we have a small but powerful team here, teaching classes and school. So this is a great place to be. I'll tell you the public that has walked in here as we reopened the clinic, and people that have kind of been around the campus a little bit before, they're all kind of struck. They're like, ooh, boy, the energy here is really good now. So it's feeling really good. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to investigate. And we've been kind of pulling people. The joke about Flagstaff is, it's like everybody comes from, so we've had students, we have somebody in the class now who came from Oklahoma to move permanently to Flagstaff because it's awesome.
Yeah.
We've had people from Alaska and on the East Coast and California and just all over the place kind of coming here to go to massage school. So the little city itself is kind of a draw, because it's really fun. There's a lot to do here. If you're an outdoors person, it doesn't get much better. We got that huge culture of Olympic training and running and stuff up here. So it's a pretty vibrant little city. I love that people walk around here.
I know. I miss that. I miss that when I live here in Phoenix.
Cool.
Like, no, cars. That's it.
When I moved to Phoenix, the first day I go to work, go to catch a train to ASIS, and there's nobody. I'm right downtown, right in the center of the heart of downtown. Skyscrapers around me, nobody on the sidewalk. And I'm in San Francisco, where it's like, wow, there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to be in this little city where people are moving around, walking and biking, and just doing all kinds of things. And they're out in the street, they're in the shops, and it's got a great feel. So we're right in the middle of it. We're right in the middle of downtown with tons of stuff all around us. So it's a very cool place to be in massage school.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love the feel. I can't wait. I'll be up there in a couple of weeks to visit you guys. So that'll be awesome. Before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you these hot seat questions that I like to ask everybody. I did start them after our first conversation that we had during our second live stream ever for ASIS. So if you're ready for them, I know I gave you no time to prepare for them, but hot seat questions.
I'm a jazz musician. I can improvise.
All right. Yes. By the way, did you like the jazz music starting up? Was that good?
I did.
Yes. So which talent or superpower would you most like to have?
Boy, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like the talent thing is the jazz musicians of the past. You know, to be a John Coltrane or Thelonious Monk or something like that would be my superpower.
Nice.
Yeah.
I should add in there probably a question: who would you like to most have dinner with sometime or hang out with? You'd probably name all the
Those
jazz
guys.
musicians. Yeah. So if you weren't a massage therapist, what would you be doing?
I figured I'd be a jazz musician.
Yeah. With those guys back and somehow resurrect them. Yeah. If money and circumstances weren't an issue, where would you most like to live in the world?
Well, there's a lot of places, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of the beach in Maui.
Nice.
Ocean, just by the ocean, on a beautiful ocean.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I love it. This one always trips up people, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say. What's your most treasured possession?
I'm not a very possession-oriented person, but you know, the instruments like the flutes are they're like my partners. You know, they've been with me forever.
Yeah, I love it.
If I have to grab something if the house is burned down, I'm grabbing the flute before I go.
Yeah, the grand piano probably not so much. It'd be a little hard to get it out.
Yeah.
And what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Practice more.
Mm-hmm. Practice everything.
I was the musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Musician. Yeah.
And you know, be fearless. Take that adventure. Just be fearless.
Take the risks. Yeah. You can't make mistakes if you don't try, but you also can't succeed if you don't try too. Yeah. So yeah, I like that. And Jess is calling you the Master Yoda right now too. And I did want to shout out to Matthew for great comments today. And also you're welcome. And thank you for this comment. Thank you for doing the great live on your programs and continue to reach out to people called to the body work therapy professions. Appreciate that comment. And we'll keep doing it here for sure. As always, if you have comments or questions or suggestions for a future live stream, we'd love to hear them in the comments. Join us every Friday, Arizona time, 1:00. And we have great lineups coming down the road again. Great guest speakers are getting booked as we speak. So thank you, Carl, for joining us today. We will be booking your next one. I want to see the shiatsu. We're going to get a body and we're going to go through some techniques and stuff. We'd love to see that. So keep your eye on that Facebook world and YouTube land when that's going to happen down the road. So thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, you're welcome.